Welcome back. Let's bring in our personal finance reporter, Denitsa Tsekova, now to discuss how workers who switch jobs are actually the real winners in this labor market. Denitsa, great to have you with us. Tell us what you mean by that.
Well, what I mean by that in terms of paycheck, workers who switch jobs maybe a year earlier are now getting much better paychecks than those who stuck with their old jobs. So the rate we see is 5.8%. This is year over year. So from last June, the workers that left their jobs, they're seeing a big increase in their paycheck. Job holders are also seeing an increase in their paycheck, but it's much smaller. Nearly half of what those who switch jobs are seeing. This is based on ADP data. ADP has payroll data of 18 million employees. Overall wage growth was at 2.3%, which is a little bit slower than Q1, but still it's not negative. What we're seeing is that in order to attract employees in this job market where job openings have been very high, quit levels have been very high, employers seem to be offering more competitive compensation, benefits, trying to really attract those workers. But when we go back to the industries, this is a very uneven story. Leisure and hospitality, which is the industry hit the hardest by the pandemic, is actually seeing the highest job switching rate, but yet they're experiencing the smallest wage growth. While when we go to industries that weren't affected as hard by the pandemic, like information, finance, we're seeing some of the biggest wage gains for those job switchers in those industries. It's important to say that across the country, it's also uneven. Northeast and the West are seeing the biggest wage growth. The Midwest are tracking behind. They're seeing much smaller wage growth. And going back to the quits rate being the highest in April, very elevated in May, as well as the job openings being at a historic high, what we hear from ADP is this trend may continue and more workers may switch jobs and indeed see a higher return if they make that decision to find a new job.
So I want to ask you, Denitsa, I believe even you and I have talked about this, and you've brought us some data on how more and more workers, and of course you just mentioned that quits rate, but more and more workers are willing to leave their jobs. I believe it was about a third of workers surveyed in one of the last studies that I had been reading. About a third of the workers are willing to leave their current place of employment. Are we at all hearing, or are you at all seeing out there that employers are willing to pay higher salaries to really keep some of their employees at least happy and working in the company to prevent, turnover in the office?
Exactly. We're seeing that third of employees are thinking of this. And we actually see that a 10% increase will make a really big part of those employees stay at their current job. But seeing the quit rate, maybe we're not seeing that type of initiative offered from employers. And obviously, as we see the wage growth being higher for job switchers, maybe there is a bigger pay initiative for workers to actually get another job right now rather than negotiate higher pay at their current one, or at least that's what we're seeing at the moment.
All right, we're going to have to leave that there. Denitsa Tsekova, thank you so much for breaking all of that down. And of course, you can read Denitsa's reporting on our website, yahoofinance.com.